I didn't claim that IQ tests have a stranglehold on. I did not claim. I did not claim that traditional IQ measures have a stranglehold on the folk conception. I claim that the folk conception and our traditional usage of IQ tests are not in alignment. The folk conception packs into intelligence all of these positive qualities, okay, that are not measured on the tests. And then the tests accrue those positive qualities, okay, when they in fact have not earned them. Okay. There was the Bertrand Russell. They traditional tests won by stealth what they should have won by honest toil. Okay. And they've taken on the aura of these broad definitions. Okay. The Wechsler quote that I gave you. Our position on these notions is the traditional one we teach in our introductory psych methods. Concepts must map into operations. And something goes drastically wrong when we label a concept with things that aren't measured. Okay? So it's a little different twist that I was giving on it than the way you initially portrayed it. And the Bush thing, we need to talk through that. Yes, measures of not only need for cognition, but typical intellectual engagement funnel into a dimension that we call actively open-minded thinking. So a lot of things funnel there. Ackerman's typical intellectual engagement, the need for cognition, our own actively open-minded thinking test that Richard and I introduced in 1997, and a few other measures funnel in to that major dimension. Yeah, well, that's why I said it was a converging measure again, and we're not taking on everything from that persuasion literature because we come from a different tradition of dual process theory. Okay, and these dual process theories are similar, but they're not identical. Okay, we come from more of the Jonathan Evans problem-solving tradition of dual process theory. Okay, so our conceptualization would kind of ground there. So I don't want to take on all of the Cassiopean petty arguments. Oh yes, and don't use that phrase because they're rapid fire only because I had to rapid fire them. Okay, and so again, no set of items that a speaker flashes on the screen in a talk should ever be taken as representative.
Oh, I was looking at the examples in your tables as well. I couldn't see too many extended, deeply thought through.
I can show you 2 dozen.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So it's,
we'll go through the slides.
So longer reflection has a place in
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess is what I'm asking.
No, absolutely.
Thanks.
I have no idea where we'll fall off. We are going to see what falls out. No. To be less glib, we certainly have guesses as we've done enough more work with these tasks, and I showed you those 2 slides. We already see that the rational things, that the sets of tasks are clumping in terms of their cognitive ability associations. Okay, so we already know that some profile, if we profile the task, of which there are now over 56, and the cognitive ability profile is going to be a choppy profile. Okay, so that's why I do not want to answer that. because it's going to be a choppy, complex profile. And again, I'm not talking anything about your question. I'm just talking about the cognitive ability correlations that we already have sketched out. So, for example, something like unprimed my-side bias. Okay? The tendency of people to interpret evidence, to output arguments, and to evaluate arguments in terms of their own position is one of the most independent of intelligence we've ever seen. Okay? And we measured a lot of different paradigms. In the August issue of Current Directions in Psychological Science, if it's not August, it'll be September, we have a paper on some of our my-side bias paradigms. On the other hand, there's some paradigms that look fairly similar, okay, where you get very large cognitive ability differences. So, for example, belief bias and syllogistic reasoning. Okay. So, people, and where there's a conflict between logical validity and the factual accuracy of the conclusion. Okay. All living things need water, roses need water, roses are living things. And it's an invalid syllogism. Okay. But in order to call it invalid, we have to resist an enticing believable conclusion. Okay. And when you run this task with a warning that, you know, you should set aside everything you know, blah, 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 the standard stuff we do in experimental science, you create a fairly large cognitive ability difference there. Okay. In exactly the same subjects, who in a my-side paradigm show absolutely intelligence predicts nothing. Okay. So it is going to be a very spiky profile. And probably that's the first profile we have. And demographic stuff is going to come later. Yeah, our Scientific American Mind article. We have a piece in Scientific American Mind, which again, because it has the quick problems, this is your question struck home because this is a big problem with the media, okay? This is a big problem with the media. They're all saying, give us a quick problem, give us a quick problem. And we give a quick problem, then you get 100 letters with variants on your theme. Oh, you can't measure something so complex with one little problem. As if that's what we were doing. Okay, so that's, okay. So the closest, you know, so the Scientific American Mind has some quick little problems in it. If you understand the caveat that I gave to the question at the back. Yes, that's actually what it's something I was going to respond. You know, that's just the point. Okay. That the Shane Frederick's CRT cognitive reflection test. Some people have started to do latency studies with it, even to increase, to get some more variance out of the incorrect responders. Sometimes incorrect responders, and Vietnamese is doing some of this work too. Sometimes you can get information out of incorrect responders in terms of